The Zephyrian Council had studied human psychology for 3 cycles before making their decision. Their xenobiologists had dissected every available piece of human media, analyzed their wars, their poetry, their children's stories. The conclusion was unanimous. Humans were fragile creatures who crumbled under sustained pressure. "They form emotional attachments to everything," declared High Counselor Vextar, his chitinous fingers clicking against the crystalline conference table. "Their pets, their possessions, their offspring. Strike at what they love and they will surrender within days." The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Rather than waste resources on a direct assault, they would systematically destroy everything humans held dear. Start with the outer colonies, small farming worlds where children played in golden wheat fields and lovers carved their names into ancient oak trees. The psychological warfare would break humanity's spirit long before their fleets could mount a proper defense. Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Defiance received the first distress signal from Kepler 442b at 0347 hours. The transmission was brief: screams, weapon fire, then silence. By the time her ship arrived, New Eden was nothing but ash and twisted metal. 3 million souls gone. The pattern repeated across the outer rim. Peaceful agricultural worlds reduced to cinders. Research stations obliterated. Mining colonies turned to graveyards. Each attack was broadcast across human networks, a deliberate psychological assault designed to break the human spirit. The Zephyrians waited for surrender. Instead, they received a message from Earth's High Command. "You have made a grave error in judgment." Admiral Maria Reyes stood before the assembled fleet commanders, her weathered face carved from granite. Behind her, holographic displays showed the devastation. 47 colonies destroyed, 12 million civilians dead. The war room was silent except for the hum of quantum processors calculating probable outcomes. "They think they know us," she said, her voice carrying the weight of 1,000 storms. "They've studied our art, our literature, our history. They see our tears and assume we're weak. They see our compassion and mistake it for vulnerability." She turned to face the assembled officers, and in her eyes burned something that had terrified tyrants throughout human history. They're about to learn what it truly means to be human. The Zephyrian High Command watched with satisfaction as their surveillance drones reported human fleet movements. The patterns were exactly as predicted: scattered, defensive, emotional. Human ships racing to protect worlds that were already lost, spreading their forces thin across impossible distances. "They react with their hearts instead of their minds," observed strategic analyst Kethva. "See how they deploy 3 battle groups to defend a single agricultural world? Tactically irrational." What they failed to understand was that humans didn't just react, they adapted. The first sign came at the Battle of Wolf 359. A Zephyrian fleet arrived to find not panicking civilians but mines, thousands of them, seeded throughout the system by suicide freighters that had accelerated to near light speed. The explosions lit up the void like a second sun. The second sign came when Zephyrian supply lines began disappearing. Not destroyed, simply gone. Entire convoys vanishing without distress signals, without witnesses, without trace. It took 3 cycles for them to realize that humans had begun fighting like their ancestors did in the caves of prehistory. From the shadows, with improvised weapons, showing no mercy to those who had shown none to their families. Dr. Elena. Vasquez had lost everything at Kepler 442b. Her husband, her twin daughters, her life's work researching terraforming techniques. The Zephyrians expected her to break, to weep, to surrender to grief. Instead, she became something far more dangerous than they could imagine. Working from a hidden laboratory in the asteroid belt, she weaponized her knowledge of terraforming. If the Zephyrians wanted to turn human worlds into graveyards, she would return the favor. Her bioengineered plague was a masterpiece of selective evolution, harmless to humans, lethal to Zephyrian physiology, and capable of surviving in any environment. The plague reached the Zephyrian homeworld 3 months after New Eden burned. Within days, their perfect crystalline cities became tombs. The council that had so confidently analyzed human psychology watched their civilization crumble from the inside out. High Counselor Vextar, dying in his contaminated tower, finally understood his mistake. Humans didn't break under pressure. They crystallized. Every loss made them harder. Every tragedy forged them into something more relentless than any force in the galaxy. The war ended not with surrender but with extinction. The Zephyrian Empire, which had ruled 1,000 worlds for 10,000 years, simply ceased to exist. Their homeworld became a monument to their miscalculation, its atmosphere still teeming with Dr. Vasquez's creation. In the aftermath, as human ships surveyed the ruins of enemy civilizations, Admiral Rhea stood on the bridge of her flagship and thought about the children of New Eden. The Zephyrians had been right about one thing. Humans did form emotional attachments to everything they loved. They had simply failed to comprehend the fury of a species whose love was matched only by its capacity for vengeance. The galaxy learned a lesson that day, written in the ashes of worlds. Humanity's greatest weakness was also its greatest strength. Touch what they cherish and they will not break. They will burn the universe down around you instead. And in the cold mathematics of space, where survival was the only currency that mattered, that made them the most dangerous species of all.